Hi, Sophie. How are you? Lovely to see you. Thank you
Thanks.
for joining this episode of Partnership Genius. It'd just be
Thanks
really
for
good to learn a bit about you first, actually, for those of you who somehow don't know you.
Great. Yes. So I am Sophie. I work at Hello Yummy Box currently. I've just been there for a month, so quite new in the role. It's been great. Previously, I have worked for pet food mostly. So I started off my career in the UK in working for Tails.com dog food, which was lovely. Saw lots of great dogs. I specialized there a little bit in started performance marketing, but then very quickly went into affiliates, partnerships, and influencers. So that was amazing. I really love that. It's still my bread and butter, what I like doing. So I moved on to Republic of Cats then. So selling cat food, similar role, doing everything performance marketing. And now I'm at Hello Yummy Box. So finally something for me and my husband to eat instead of my dog.
I bet Diesel is super gutted at this point, right? It's like, oh, I
Yes.
used to get all these free treats and now the humans have them. Oh no.
Yes. Very much so. He still loves the delivery, but then he realizes it's not for him. So
I imagine it was salivating to the postman at the front door, whereas now
yeah,
it's probably the angry barking
yeah,
classic. Is that right? Okay, no,
yeah.
fair
He's a bit
enough.
older, so he just looks at it and is like, "Ugh, not for me." So
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I guess
yes,
obviously you've recently moved to Yummy Box, and I think, as you mentioned, it's slightly different to what you've done before.
yes,
I guess it'd be quite cool to know a bit more about Hello Yummy Box itself, and then what's the story behind the brand, and from your experience so far, why do people really enjoy the brand?
yes, of course. So I'll tell you what the co-founders told me when I joined. So they just created Hello Yummy Box to bring joy into people's everyday routines. The world can be quite serious sometimes, so having something arrive at your doorstep monthly that you can just enjoy and treat yourself. That was the main thing why they started it. So customers come to us because they want to treat themselves and they want to be excited about what's in the box. So each month, customers receive a curated box with 10 to 15 full size products, which is quite nice, I would say, full size. Drinks, food, snacks, anything. And it's always worth over £35. So it's really great value. And I would say it's an affordable way to discover new favorites. We love working with small challenger brands. You can always, like, hopefully any subscription, like skip, pause, cancel. So the consumer really is in charge of everything. And at the heart of our brand is product discovery. So it should feel fun and not very daunting because there's so many products out there. You don't know what to buy sometimes. So we're all about creating an experience from the unboxing to reading about each brand and what they do and what they stand for on the flyer. So it's all about like trying to brighten people's days.
Interesting.
So on the other
What
side, sorry,
I was
go
gonna
go.
say, what's the favorite item that you've had? Because you must be getting them quite a lot so far. So, like, what's the favorite item you've had in the Yummy Box? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes. No, don't worry. So we actually did a limited edition box recently. I think they launched September, so just before I started. And it was a Bailey's box. And it was amazing. It had lots of biscuits, squirty cream, everything, caramel sauce. So I tried to hold off a little bit, but then I very much got into the having a nice coffee with Bailey's squirty cream and
And
caramel
it's
on top.
September. Yeah, if I keep doing this every day for a month.
Yeah. So that was, I would say, my favorite item so far. Also in the recent box, we had a tea advent calendar in the November box. So I love that because I love tea. I love advent calendars. So yeah, great product.
I'm getting a drinking theme going on here, right? Hot
Yes,
chocolate, tea. It's all going on.
little bit. When it's
I'm
cold,
sorry, I
yeah,
interrupted you there as well when you were just go through the
don't
second half.
all good, don't worry. I was just saying about how, so my job is to partner with guys like you, Tiviso, to get new customer acquisition. But on the other side, we also have a partnership manager and an exec who go out to brands, mostly challenger brands, to try and make sampling accessible and also impactful. We share all of the data with them. So that's the other part of the business, which I found find quite interesting. So we try and spark trial with new customers, build awareness. So yeah, I love that part of the business as well, and like getting to know a bit more about that. I would say to the second half of the question of why consumers or customers love us is we were actually talking about it in a team meeting this week, and it's because it blends really great value with high quality products and getting consumers to try something new without them having to choose about out of like 50 of similar looking products in the supermarket. Yeah.
It's an interesting one because I can imagine it, right? If I walk through a supermarket myself, I'm like, oh, I've never seen that before. I don't know if I want to try it or not. But if it's kind of
Yes.
been physically dropped at your house, like, well, I mean, it's here, it's in my house. I may as well,
Yes.
try X, Y, Z. What
Yeah.
kind of data do the brands who supply you stuff get back? Is it like it went to this many people, the sentiment was this? I'm super interested.
Yes. So first of all, it's who it went out to. So how many people, where do they live, etc. In the UK, what are their profiles? So it was mostly females, for example, that tried this product. This is their feedback. We also send out surveys afterwards. So brands can ask quite in-depth questions. And we've had feedback from brands where they have used that info and then gone out to, for example, a Tesco's and said, we actually have lots of feedback from consumers that are similar to yours. So we'd love to have a conversation about getting into retail. So it's quite valuable data, I would say, and not expensive to try. So yeah.
Interesting. Data is the new oil, as they say.
So true.
So 2025 was a pretty big year in e-com, I'm sure we can agree. What would you say were some of the biggest challenges or shifts that Yummybox saw as a business? I know it's a relatively new one, but interested nonetheless.
Yeah, so I asked around the team a little bit, and obviously within the industry, but also at Hello Yummy Box, 2025 brought a lot of change. I think the biggest one is that marketing costs continue to rise across every channel, really, or most channels. So it's tough to rely on the standard playbook of Meta, for example, or Google Ads. And also at the same time, customer behavior shifted. People are becoming even more selective and they're focusing on value in products. So you have to be, as a brand, you have to be quite sharp with your propositioning, know what you stand for and what kind of customers you're serving, and lean in what resonates with your customers and try to build on that as well. So with that as well is something we chatted about before is competition increase. So we had to refine our messaging, strengthen our partnerships and focus on retention and acquisition, which is why they hired me, I guess, new customer acquisition. So it was a year where you had to be in marketing specifically, like very adaptable, willing to test and learn even more than ever. But I would say that ultimately at Hello Yummy Box, it made our strategy stronger. Like they very much focus on like who are our customers, what do they want to see and what kind of products do they want to have in the box and test out. And they've really honed in on that so that we are delivering boxes that customers love, and then we can build on that and get new customers in and hopefully retain them.
Interesting, because yeah, to boil down your point there, I guess there's like two major bits, like the efficiency of how well you're buying the traffic, right? Like how good is our
Yeah.
buying strategy? And on the other side, how much value can we give to our customers to kind of get them to feel they're getting a good deal? Do you
Yes.
feel like one of those is one important than the other, or do you think it's like
Mm-mm.
quite synonymous with both?
It's very synonymous because everything that I will put out in the world to get new customers is reliant on what my colleagues do on the other side. So which kind of products do they get into the box? What great challenger brands can they work with to try and get new customers to subscribe and make them actually interested in the product and hopefully stick around as well.
Yeah, interesting, because you've got a very like interesting one where you've got like your buying team as well who are
Yeah.
creating value for customers as well, which is,
Yes.
to your point, the box is worth X, but the products inside are worth Y. The
Yeah.
better that gap, probably like, oh wow, I'm getting like 80 quid's worth of stuff for
Yes,
35.
very much so. Everyone knows in ads, if you can say it's worth £50 plus, then consumers are going to be like, yes, let's try this.
It's
First box
almost like if you give customers more value, they buy from you more. Miraculous, isn't it?
is simple, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, funny that. So When it comes to performance marketing, what metrics generally matter most to you in the team? I'm sure there's many, but is there any particular ones that really stand out?
Yes. So for us, we focus on metrics that guide efficient and sustainable growth. So CPA, I would say, is the biggest ones. Our campaigns have to be very cost effective and deliver strong return. And hand in hand with that goes new customer acquisition. It's a major driver for us, especially going into 2026. We've been super focused on customer retention and bringing them value and really bringing them the products what they want and need, I guess. So we're now focusing on bringing new audiences into the community. So retention also remains a strong priority because long term loyalty is as important as bringing in new customers, because that's how you drive revenue really, right, as a subscription business. So I would say 2026 strong performance, what that looks like is when all of these three metrics work really well together. So healthy and efficient CPA, getting new customers in at the right cost, and then getting them to stay with us and trial new products.
Interesting, because subscription is always about quality, right? What's the quality of the user we're getting in? I guess retention to a degree, it doesn't matter if they come in via Meta or something else, they kind of get the same, to a degree, reward or kind of retention strategy. I'm curious if you know, in what you've run so far, is there any particular sources of traffic that give a really good LTV, like, or a better quality standard than others?
Yes. So interestingly, it would. So from my previous experience and here actually at Hello Yummy Box, it's brand to brand partnerships that work best for retention. I think it is because consumers, when they see an offer promoted by another brand, another subscription, for example, they already know that model, they understand the model, they know when they sign up, they're in charge of the subscription. They really choose that product with all of the background info in their head of, if I want to pause, I can, if I want to cancel, or if I want to change some things or get in touch with customer service. They're very used to that, which is great because then they tend to stay on longer compared to, for example, when you have a discount website where you just run a really strong offer because that's what they need to drive new customer acquisition and make their model work, right? Then consumers come in with a very different mindset because they've been scrolling offers and they see a good offer and they think, oh, I'd love that box for a great deal and try it out, versus when they've come from another brand where they just checked out because they bought a food box and now they see a treat box. So they think, oh, that would go really well with the food that I'm about to make in 5 days time, right? It's a different mindset for
Makes sense.
consumers.
The postman must have an absolute nightmare, like all the boxes walking up to someone's
Yeah.
door. Right, here you go. I think the only thing I'd add to that, which is an interesting point, a lot of, I think in brand to brand partnerships in particular, because it's a referral from another brand,
Yeah.
that inherently is a brand that you trust, I think is an
Yes.
interesting point to consider as well. Like, I spend
Yeah.
money at this brand, I believe in their products. The fact they've recommended something else
Yeah.
is probably more likely than, to your point, something I found on a discount site to resonate, I guess.
Yeah, very much so. I think as well, if you, instead of thinking as marketers, if you think of yourself as a consumer, if you're, for example, let's say Diesel, my dog. So if that brand where I'm scrolling and trying to find products, snacks, or a harness, for example, I bought recently, if then after purchasing, I'm very excited about the product to come and they say, oh, we actually have great offers here as well, then you're already in the mindset of, oh, well, I love this harness that I just bought. He would love some treats actually. And you're very invested. And like you say, it just sparks the interest more than when you're just scrolling and trying to get as much good offers as possible.
It makes sense. You're in active discovery mode, I guess, to a
Yes.
degree, right? Yes, your credit card's in hand, which is helpful, but it's kind of like, well, I'm kind of on a little shopping spree for Diesel anyway, so
Yes.
that little extra thing isn't going to hurt, is it?
No, true. And I guess as well, to your point of you love that brand already, when the real magic happens, I would say, is when you, for example, get a newsletter of a brand that you love and that you've been a customer for with, let's say, 12 months. And they say, oh, look at this great brand now, which we're partnering with, Hello Yummy Box. This is why we love it. And this is why you'll love it. You automatically just like it more. And there's more of a trust thing there going on. So if you then actually sign up, it's like a refer a friend really, or like working with influencers that say, I've been using this product for this amount of months. It's great. You should try it as well. It's very different intention of those customers than when coming from a discount website or a meta ad even.
Interesting. I guess like if you're looking at a tiering system, it's probably like recommendation from a personal friend, and then probably
Yeah.
like the level below is probably like recommendation from someone else that I actively buy from to agree. Human
Yeah.
human will obviously always win, but it's
Yeah.
probably a reasonable second, I'd imagine.
Yeah. A strong one. Strong
There we
contender.
go. Amazing.
Yes.
What first made Hello Yummy Box consider brand partnerships as a growth channel? Again, I know it's a relatively youngish business. Like, is there a mixture of factors that makes it an attractive acquisition channel?
Yes. So we started exploring brand partnerships this year and last year, I would say. So it wasn't me, it was a person before me. They ran some small tests with things like rewards, doing insert swaps, simple cross promotions with complementary brands, food boxes, etc. Even pet brands, because our audience are big pet lovers as well. So even on a super small scale, like running super small tests, results were quite strong. So new customer acquisition was great, CPA was great, and retention was there. So all the metrics that we talked about before. So they realized quite quickly that partnering with other subscription businesses in particular was a natural fit. So because of what I previously said, their audiences understand the model, they're open to discovering different services like that as well. So the transition, if you're food box customer, for example, to Hello Yummy Box is very seamless. So those small early wins made it very clear to them that partnerships was worth investing in. So they then started looking for someone who could really scale that, which is where I come in. So yeah.
And do you see quite a big, I'm guessing you see a very big cost efficiency between, for example, those brand partnerships and say Meta, because I know Meta you'll buy on a CPM or a CPC, which is
Yeah.
to a degree with quite risk, right? Unless you're kind of watching it like a hawk.
Yes.
Is it the cost model of brand partnerships in
Mhm.
particular? Is it the quality? Is it all of the above? Or is it just kind of like, well, actually, it's amongst the cheapest because of the CPA model. It's the
Yeah.
best quality because of the user journey that you mentioned. Is there something in particular that really makes it a priority to the business?
Is everything combined. So CPA, like you mentioned, is great. For example, if you do insert swaps, it's free, right? Because you're going into each other's boxes. And then the customer retention is a lot better because of what we previously discussed, the mindset that consumers are in and they're used to the model. And then also, I would say it's just great for a smaller brand like us to partner with bigger brands that have lots of customers out there that might not know about us. And the same way around, we have quite our customers they're quite sticky, which is a good thing. And they really love our brand. They love discovering new products. So that is amazing for even bigger brands out there to tap into that very niche audience of consumers that love us and that trust us as well. So yeah, it's a mix of all things. This is why we 2026 we're very focused on growing brand to brand partnerships.
Interesting. I guess the final point there, which is maybe one that lots of people don't talk about, is kind of the branding element as well, right? I think it's very different if Giant Brand 1 promotes Giant Brand 2, but in
Yeah,
the case of yourself where you're a smaller challenger, there's probably this unsung benefit that you get of like, wow, this mega brand is recommending us. This will
yeah.
grow our brand, even though we can't necessarily prove it. Is that also kind of a consideration in the particular partnerships you're trying to do?
Yeah, very much so. Because if you think about both sides again, so my side, what I'm trying to do, get new customer acquisition, get customers to stay with us and retain. The other side of things where Tim and Diana, they have to go out and look for challenger brands to sample with us is quite a strong one to go out and say, well, or we're now live on EE rewards, for example. New customers can try your products. They will see that live on EE rewards or gift with purchase with really other big brands, with food brands, everything out there. I don't want to name names constantly.
No, of course.
That is quite a strong one to sell for them as well when they go to smaller challenger brands. Let's feature your granola in our boxes because we're now live with these big brands with gifts with purchase. That's a strong selling point.
I've never looked at it that way, and that's a very interesting perspective for you guys to say to the kind of people like, okay, get your candy floss into our box because our box is in this place, which means by proxy you're reaching those customers. That's actually,
Yes.
yeah, it's a very interesting one. I never thought of that. There you
Yeah.
go. Maybe touching on from what we just talked about, how do you evaluate which hosts are the right fit for your audience? Is it like a very rigid set of criteria do you have? How does that work in your mind?
Yes. So we begin with customers again, a deep look at who our core customers are. We run lots of surveys so we know who they are and then what they like and what they don't. We ask them as well, like which products did they love from the previous box. So we kind of know the areas that they love and don't. So our audience is mostly women age 35 plus. They enjoy treating themselves and discovering small moments of joy in their day. And interestingly, many are also pet lovers and they have dogs and cats and they enjoy other brands that feel warm, uplifting, and fun. So once you then put yourself in their shoes and we understand their world, we look for hosts and partners whose tones and values and audiences fit that match naturally. So from there, we then shortlist them and chat about it within the team as well to see like, does it really fit and does it feel aligned, and then start exploring opportunities that way so it feels very authentic.
Interesting. It's because I know you used to do some bits and bobs of influencers as well. It almost sounds like the same criteria that you're using to pick to influence. Like, how does it match the audience? What's this? Does it match the brand,
Yeah,
etc.?
very much so. Yeah, I would say the process is quite similar actually now that you mention it. Yes.
Okay, learning lots of many things today.
Yes.
Um,
On a Friday.
yeah, of all things, I know, and it's actually sunny for once. There we go.
Yeah.
What's your approach to choosing the right host? What makes it appealing to you as, I guess, like a physical marketer?
Yes. So for me, it comes down to content quality, audience engagement, and collaboration. So I look for hosts who create vibrant content because that's what we want to show with our brand as well, and genuinely connect with their community because that will make our products shine. A big one here, I would say as well, is I always say this, is I value partners who are super easy to work with and are open to testing and learning and are communicative and love to collaborate. So when someone is willing to experiment and iterate based on performance, it makes a partnership far more effective and it will work better on both sides because we'll get more new customers and they will drive more revenue for their business, right? So the best relationships, I would say, is where everything feels aligned and seamless. But even if there's not, there's great communication so we can make it feel aligned again.
100%. I think maybe an undervalued thing of brand partnerships for sure is that experimentation angle.
Yeah.
Without self-plugging ourselves too much, the reason we made all of these A/B testing tools is to try and find the weird and wonderful things
Yes.
that as humans you think logically that may or may not work, but I'm not sure. Let's try
Yeah.
and prove a point. So, for example, should I try and show this particular product to this kind of person when they're buying X, Y, Z? Or
Yeah.
even more random things like if I change the color of the background or if I change the image, will that have a better effect? Will it resonate with customers better? Will it not? I guess, have you seen on your side anything in particular in all of your experience in brand partnership stuff that works, like, I don't know, particularly bright imagery or something from your side? Or I guess
Yeah.
pets was probably easier, right?
Yes.
But I'm just curious as to
I know.
maybe any little hacks that you found that might be useful to share with other people.
Yes. So, although it probably goes into lots of brand guidelines and everything from all brands, bright colors, I would say, is a big one. Like you were saying previously, bright CTAs, any like highlights, yellow, orange, pink, anything. People just love seeing things that stand out. If you think about it, it makes sense because consumers, we consume so much content. It's actually unbelievable. Every day we're on screen scrolling throughout work. When you go take a break, have a coffee, you're just scrolling. So you need to think in terms of, as a marketer, what is gonna stand out amongst all of the noise, I guess, that's out there. So bright colors is the first one that works well. Another one which we found is humans or pets, both of them, looking straight into the camera if you have statics, or videos, both of them, because we really, as consumers and humans in general, we crave connection. So someone looking you directly into your eyes makes you stop, because you just watch so many videos, reels, TikToks, where you're just scrolling, everything's going on. We have such short attention span. So when someone looks in your eyes, it makes you stop a little bit and then look at the rest of the ads. So 2 key takeaways for anyone.
I guess kind of going on from that for question 7, how has advertising and performance marketing evolved for you in the last year or so?
Yes, so I'll talk Hello Yummy Box first. So before I joined the team, they were very heavily focused on retention. So they had and still have a very strong customer base. They're focusing on making sure that they had the right products in the boxes, asking the right questions, and making sure that each box felt exciting. And we were working with brands that our customers genuinely loved or would want to try for a while already. So since then, we've expanded our approach to balance both retention and new customer acquisition, because obviously to grow the brand, we need new customers coming in as well. So retention is obviously still super important, but we're also prioritizing scalable growth now, especially 2026, which is super exciting. So I would say for Hello Yummy Box, that dual focus has been the biggest shift in strategy. It's an exciting year for us next year, so good time for me to join. For me, not personally, obviously myself in the work environment, how that has changed is, I would say I think, is in general, performance marketing has become even more cutthroat, as in you very much need to stand out with your brand to get a customer's attention. There's so many brands out there and everyone has something to say. So to really cut through the noise and reach the customers that you want, you have to have a super strong brand. First of all, know what you stand for, know what you're selling, and then go out and try to find the right customers that you want to reach. So I would say you need to be very careful with your marketing and try not target everyone, and target just the people that you know it will resonate with the right message, with the right creative, on the right channels, at the right time. So this has always been the case, but I feel like the last year has just honed it down even more. Especially across the big channels like Meta, for example. It just feels very much like a black hole sometimes. You just put lots of content out there and hope something sticks. So I would say this is why I still even more love brand partnerships, because you're targeting, when you work with a specific brand, their audience and who they are, what they love. Because you share that information when you work with another brand. So that is just a great tool to reach the right customers. And you can tailor your messaging because you know what kind of mood they're in when they're seeing your gift with purchase, or when they're opening the other brand's newsletter. So it just feels like brand-to-brand partnerships is a perfect channel to grow into that space and to cut through the noise a bit more.
I guess it's efficiency, right? I think probably
Yeah.
where you're like looking more like the bidding styled
Yeah.
platforms, it's kind of like if I get something wrong, or I don't quite get this ad quite right, or that creative quite right, I might just waste a load of money. Whereas maybe brand partnerships obviously that slightly more certainty and that efficiency. You know how much it's going to cost. You know when you pay. You know when you don't pay. You do know what the audience is. I
Yeah.
guess critically, you know where your offers are as well, right? Like even in a meta ecosystem, there's so many different places that offer can go. It's a bit of a black box to a degree, where it's like, okay, I know I'm working with this brand at this
Yeah.
time. It costs me this much, and their audience is that. I guess that's the broad appeal.
Yeah, definitely. In Meta as well, if you have one ad that's performing really well, how can you even pinpoint why it's working well? Is it the time of the year? Is it because other brands aren't bidding that much? Is it because the color stands out or the image is right? Whereas when you work on brand to brand partnerships, the other brand can give you so much information of, we have other offers out there, or your offer was featured within this kind of space, and they can give you so much context, and you can actually pinpoint a bit more, I would say, why it's working and what's resonating. So that's super helpful.
Interesting. So almost like a greater like feedback loop is available as well. Beyond the pure like we ran this activity, it's like, okay, we did this kind of activity in this kind of place. We can therefore hypothesize this was the reason it did well or not better,
Yeah.
I guess. Interesting. What kind of returns or uplift have you seen from brand partnerships versus more traditional ad spend? I know we've kind of gone through it, weaved through the topic a couple of times, but I'm just curious if there is anything we haven't covered specifically.
Yeah. So we hear, I think the first one to call out is we hear great feedback from customers who discover new brands through collaborations, and then they end up loving them. So retention of these customers, like mentioned previously, is higher too. I would say the big one, the big advantage is that you know what audience you're targeting, and it's very specific. You know exactly who will see your offer and the mindset they're in. So you can tailor your offering to that specific customer and that specific brand and their messaging and everything they have. So if customers are browsing a rewards page, checking out on a partner site, or they're opening an email, it's always from a brand they love and trust, which is super strong, I would say. As a marketer, that's really where you want to be and where you want to show up with your offer and your brand. So the relationship we built with other brands lots of times lead to other opportunities as well. If we run feature in a newsletter and their consumers message CX and saying, oh, we actually loved seeing that offer, I'm now a customer there too, and it's really great. That's like the kind of magic I would say you get from brand to brand partnerships. And with us it's nice because on the other side as well, when we feature brands, small challenger brand, like for example, a porridge brand, they get great, if we run our survey, we get great feedback from consumers saying, oh, I actually saw your offer on, I don't know, I don't want to
Wherever.
name this food box website and signed up. I had never heard from you, but now I discovered this great porridge. I've never heard from them. They're a super small brand, but I love them. And they actually become like a genuine customer and a brand advocate. I think that's super nice customer cycle to see. Hello, Yummy Box.
That's an interesting one, right? Because I guess as marketers, we can often be guilty of looking at the objective, right? Like what's the stats, what's
Yeah.
this, whatever. But there's, yeah, of course, but there's like little bits of kind of like magic or subjectiveness, I guess, to what you're saying as well. It's like, these are the things that we need to take stock and look at as well, right? Of course, we're all gold on numbers, but
Yeah.
actually, what's the little insight in that written comment, or what's the insight in that, which we can then use to maybe, for example, change our outreach strategies, the brands that
Yeah.
we're trying to get into Hello Yummy Box or our own website. I don't know, there's actually lots of little feedback loops that you get.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a great way to connect with customers. I think in terms of CX, you get so much great feedback when you work with other brands. When people come in via an ad, via Meta, I would say if I sign up via a Meta ad to a new subscription, I'm a bit removed. But when I see a brand I love, that I've been a customer for years, for example, and they promote another brand and I sign up to them, I'm a lot more invested. I'm like, I wanna love this product, and you're more into it.
I feel like we've done a lot of meta bashing today. We should
I know, sorry.
confirm there are other platforms available for customer acquisition. I kid, but it's kind of, I think the point you're trying to say, it's more transactional, right?
Yes.
It's not quite as journey led. It's more transactional. We can
Yes.
bash Google for the rest of the episode
Yeah,
if you want to
okay,
kind of
let's do
mix
that.
up the Goliaths. It's okay. We will keep that in, by the way. It's a good moment. Obviously there's lots of different platforms and ways to do brand partnerships, directly, indirectly. Maybe from some of the work that we've done together over the years, is there anything that makes Devisa's platform a bit different from others that's kind of maybe worth highlighting?
Yes. Lots of things. First one, biggest one for marketers, it's free to use, so super accessible. Even if you're not like a partnership wizard, you can speak to you guys, get a login, have a check of like what other brands are there, what's possible. And it's a lot of value that you get for free. So There's no onboarding fee, super easy to navigate. So you don't need to be an expert either to set up the ads on the platform. It's very straightforward. And even if you don't understand, once I made quite a horrible mistake in my ad and one of your team called it out, which was super helpful. It feels like you're an extension of the team just trying to help us get everything set up. So it's just super easy to work with. You can add multiple team members, agencies, anything, easy to manage. And like I mentioned, your team is just super helpful and direct, which I appreciate as a European. They share useful insights, help set up campaigns. So it's super easy and efficient. So I would definitely say it's a very low barrier to entry. It's just super easy to use. Even if you don't go out there and on the platform and work with like tens of thousands of brands, you can do super small campaigns, work very specifically with specific brands. You're in control, you approve or decline. It's just, great way to connect with brands, I would say.
We talked about influencers earlier. This was a great anecdote here almost. I should confirm that Sophie is not being paid for this
No, I'm not.
hashtag ad.
But I think because when I started my career at Tails.com and then I moved and now I moved again, I've always first thing was like, let's work with Diviso again because it's super easy. It works really well. Lots of new customer acquisition, great CPAs. What's not to love?
Quote, done, easy. What more could we want? And I guess kind of moving back to kind of more traditional brand partnership chat,
Yeah.
was there like a standout moment or a stat or something that you did in brand partnerships that made you think, okay, this is working. Like there's something to this.
Yes. I am going to speak for Diviso first because when we started working with you guys, the main thing that I notice is there is always month on month a steady stream of new customers coming in, which is great. I believed in the concept when you spoke to me first time at PI Live, Adrian, so I was super excited to get on
What
board.
year was that? Ooh, that would have been a few years ago.
It is, yes. This is probably showing our age, so let's not dive deeper. But I would say as a marketer, having consistent performance just makes clear how strong a channel can be and in what capacity it can grow. You can always drive like a one-off big spike of new customer acquisition. That is not too difficult, but having the constant stream of new customers coming in, partnering with more and more brands, really big brands as well. I think that's where the magic really lies. So I would say Diviso specific again is realizing how simple it was to get our offer in front of the right brands. So like we've spoken about before, when your brand is a bit smaller, it's quite difficult using LinkedIn, for example, to hunt for contacts, send cold emails, and just having one platform where you can connect directly with the brands. It saves so much time and effort. So that is the biggest thing for Diviso. I think my biggest thing in general, why there's a standout moment where I knew brand to brand or brand partnerships are working in general was just when at first I started trying to reach out to partnerships and setting everything up, it was super small scale. I think when at Tails, it was driving maybe 10 new customers a month. But then when I started running like rewards, gift with purchase, newsletters, that kind of thing, it just drove so much new customer acquisition and the retention was so much better than other channels where we were paying a lot more money actually to get those customers in. So I would say for me, that is the biggest thing that stands out is you get real value from the money and the effort that you put in. So it's definitely a channel. If anyone out there is not doing it, please try and get into it. It really unlocks a lot of efficient growth.
I guess maybe scalability is kind of like the key point there because
Yeah.
to a degree, like there is quite a bit of manual work that maybe that one doesn't anticipate, right? I imagine to your point when you're doing it yourself, it's like, right, I've got a spreadsheet, I've got my LinkedIn DMs.
Yes.
How far can I take this?
Mm.
And of course, it's worth me saying that, of course there are brand partnerships available that, that we don't necessarily help with other brands, and that's totally cool. But I imagine the effort maybe on your side to do that and execute it compared to saying like, okay, here's a platform where I do this, I drag that, it does the messaging, it does the reporting all in one place is probably quite a different kettle of fish, probably.
Yeah, 100%. Especially because it's just me doing everything now on performance marketing. Obviously, my team is a massive help, but setting everything up, like everyone knows, is just so much work. I know there's brands out there that have massive partnership teams, which I would love. But obviously, when it's just you or you have a super small team and you're really focused on growth, rapid growth, efficient growth, having a platform like TVZO is just super helpful to replace your team, so to speak. You can duplicate ads, make small changes, all super quick and easy.
Perfect. Looking back at 2025, what stands out as the biggest learning that you got when it comes to brand partnerships?
My biggest learning is how important open collaboration is. The strongest partnerships were always the ones where both sides communicated clearly and were super honest and upfront. I would say the best partnerships I've worked on in my career, even where you shared your goals, you were super honest with your data, what's working, what's not. You had that test and learn approach from both sides. And it wasn't just a transaction of we will supply your promo code, offer imagery, run with it, and then you never hear from them again. That's not how constant great performance is gonna come about. So when you have that level of trust and openness, results are always better. And obviously it's a lot nicer to work that way because you're working with people, right? It's a lot more fun.
The key is the word partnership, right? It's kind of implied that it should be a multi-dimensional thing. We try very hard to make sure as well that it is like a co-efficient, like a co-benefit thing, because ultimately if both brands benefit, let's say that Hello Yummy Box, get their new customers and return host X gets a higher basket completion rate because their users
Yeah.
gain more value. Everyone wins and everyone is incentivized to kind of contribute to that central theme.
Yeah.
I think data is a really interesting point of that as well. So beyond the pure metrics of clicks, conversions, etc., those subjective moments that we talked
Yeah.
about, like we got this feedback, we got this, it's a really powerful channel compared to those that are slightly more transactional.
Yeah, agreed. I guess that's why we're in partnerships as well. It's just because we love working with people constantly and have that feedback loop and improve, test and learn.
Exactly. Definitely not biased whatsoever. In your view, obviously we've talked about the history of brand partnerships quite a lot. Why do you think they might be the channel to watch in 2026 and moving forward?
With rising costs, marketing costs in general, and the more competition for attention that we talked about previously, I think the traditional channels feel a lot riskier to put your precious marketing spend into. So even with strong data, there's never a guarantee that a specific paid post will land the same way every time. And this is one of the reasons why brand partnerships are very important, I would say, is they just offer something different because you're reaching an already engaged audience. You understand who they are when your partner shares that with you. You can tailor your offer, your messaging, and it just feels very natural and hopefully relevant when you partner with the right brands in that way. So when two brands work together and it feels authentic, it's just quite magical, I would say, and great things come from it. It just resonates on a deeper level. So I feel like that's really where the opportunity lies and why it will be an important growth driver in 2026. Just everything we've covered in the chat already is just, I think that's the channel to watch out for.
Fair enough. And I think it's probably fair to say brand partnerships as a space it's still growing, right? Like not
Yeah.
every brand in the land is doing it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to other e-commerce brands who have maybe been hesitant up until now to try brand partnerships?
I would say now it's a super interesting space to get into. Everyone's open, or most people that I work with at least are very open to collaborating, and it's easy to take a test and learn approach. Like we said previously, you can start super small with just getting your offer live there on a rewards page for a brand that you love and that you know has an audience which you can tap into. Look at the results and see what's working and then just keep iterating. You can then scale it in that way. It's not super expensive either if you work on CPA only. That's all very doable. And I would say as well the industry is full of people who are happy to share what's worked for them and what hasn't and what's to come in 2026. So speak with others that have been doing it. I would say reach out to us. We're very happy to share any info or data or anything that's working and easy wins.
We'll be sure not to write your email address just here so that you
No,
get inundated with.
I'm very bad with lying emails.
So harass Sophie on LinkedIn instead.
Buy me a coffee or a nice wine and I'll chat.
Done. A harness for diesel, bottle of wine buys you 20 minutes. Is that probably about a fair metric?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Reasonable. I guess final question then. What excites you most about what's ahead for Hello Yummy Box specifically and your general partnerships going into 2026?
Yeah, I am the most excited, I would say, to turning partnerships into one of our biggest growth channels in 2026. At Hello Yummy Box, we've only really scratched the surface of what's possible. So done small tests, and learn approach, seen what's worked and what's not. So there's so much room to build deeper and strategic collaborations with brands that inspire us, that share insights and create engaging experiences. So the potential to turn this into a growth engine really for Hello Yummy Box is what really motivates me. And the opportunities just feel huge. And it's quite a nice time because I feel like in the industry as well, in partnerships, everyone's kind of focused on the same thing. So it's lovely to be at the right brand, I would say, to grow that channel in the right time.
Interesting. And if you had like the magic wand moment where it's kind of like aspirationally, I would love partnerships to be X percentage of our order volume on a monthly basis. Could you share what you'd maybe want that to be?
Yes. I think about 80%.
That is
Just
a substantial number.
I know. I just love brand partnerships, I'm not gonna lie. And it just feels like it's so cost efficient. Retention is good. What's not to love? I'm very biased because this is what I've been doing for a lot of years, but it probably speaks volumes as well as I've been doing it for lots of years. So it's very sustainable.
Well, thank you for everything today. Really appreciate it. I think it's been a very interesting chat, and even for myself in this one, I've learned a couple of things which I think might be super useful for the audience as well as probably both of us actually off the back of this. So
Great.
again, thank you again. Really enjoyed this chat, and
Yes.
yeah, big love to Diesel.
Yes. Thank you. I'll send them your regards.
Thank you, Sophie.
Speak soon. See ya.